This is part 3 of how my auntie unalived my parents, not physically, but mentally and emotionally. So after my dad got arrested and put in handcuffs, I literally was walking around like a headless chicken, like shaking. And I remember they said something into their radio and I just see a police van pull up and put my dad in the car and literally go off. So I was like, what in the is going on? So then I've got my phone, I've managed to, calm myself down, and I've called my mum. At this time, my mum, she was at dialysis. So I've called her and I've told her everything, and she's panicking. She's like, oh my gosh, like what? Who would have accused daddy of doing this? Like, yeah, it was crazy. So anyways, now I said to my mum that I'm gonna come down to the hospital, and then after her dialysis treatment, we go to every police station near us and try and get to the bottom of this. So I've put my son in his jacket, I've got myself ready, and we've gone to the hospital to go meet my mum. So met up with my mum now, and we've gone to each and every police station that we can think of near us, and no one is telling us anything. We don't know where my dad is. We're literally just panicking, and my mum was like, you know what, she's tired. And I could understand, because she's literally just done a 4-hour treatment of dialysis. She hasn't rested. I've just thrown this in her lap. So yeah, we went home and we was just waiting for hours and hours. Then the key, we heard it turn, and my dad just looked so deflated. He looked like, I don't know. Yeah. It was hard. It was really, really difficult, like seeing my dad looking like that. So yeah, he's come in now, and my mum's instantly said, what's going on? What happened? And then my dad was like, so-and-so, meaning my mum's niece, my cousin, is the one that has accused me of this. And honestly, the silence in that room was heavy. It was very, very heavy. And then I remember thinking in my head, like, why would she do that? Like, why? What on earth would come over after everything my parents has done for you, your kids? Why on earth are you going to do that? Anyways, now, so the next day came and my dad was getting ready for work. So as he got to work, his line manager pulled him aside, and this is where things just turned left. Pulled him aside and said, police have, called and informed us of what's going on. And unfortunately, this is a serious matter, and they have to suspend my dad. So my dad was gutted. He was devastated. He couldn't understand why this was happening. So he's been suspended now, and things are not looking good. He's having meetings with his work, and his work is saying that unless, he's found not guilty, he's not coming back to work. So, yeah. And, going back and forth to this trial, to the courts. It was a lot. It was a lot. And I remember my dad saying to me that one time when he was on his way to his court hearing, he saw my mum's sister, yes, my auntie, He saw her standing at the entrance of that court. He put 2 and 2 together, and that 2 and 2, it equaled what? 4. He said, what? He said, this is making sense now. This is all making sense. Anyways, now, he was going back and forth to his court hearings and everything. Honestly, within that time frame, my dad's mental health declined drastically. He was in and out of the GP. He was diagnosed with depression, and honestly, it was so hard to see, because with African men, they don't usually talk about their feelings. Like, they will internalize everything, and that is what my dad done. He internalized every single thing that my auntie and my cousin put him through, that it essentially, it unalived him. You know, the hurt, the pain, it literally was destroying his heart. So anyways, now, after, you know, fighting this case, the case was dismissed. My dad was found innocent, thank God, because every time my cousin said that my dad her, he was at work, or he was either picking up my mum from dialysis. You see how God works? Because the police had to get all of his work schedule, timetable, every single footprint of my dad. They had to get it, and none of it was equaling to what my cousin was even saying that was happening. So the judge was like, let's throw this out, man, wasting our time. And because of that, my cousin was going to get deported to Ghana. But what did she do? She faked insanity. And then she had to stay. She had to stay in the UK. And do you know what gets on my nerves? She's able to get on with her life, live in the UK, whilst my dad had to start all over again. So yeah, my dad was able, you know, to go back to work, but at a different branch. Even though the case was dismissed, even though he was found innocent, that tarnished his reputation. Like, everywhere he went, it just tarnished his reputation. And honestly, it broke my dad. It broke my dad. It broke my dad to the point, yeah, that I never saw my dad happy again. Like, he was always snappy, and he just was not himself anymore. So after everything, my dad, you know, wanted a break. He literally wanted a break from everything, and in 2015 he decided to take us all to Ghana. So we went to Ghana, and you know, a time was had. Like, we had a really good time. We literally forgot about everything, you know, that was happening in London. But no, things always have to find their way, you know, to follow us. So we've gone to go and see my mum's family now, and all my mum's cousins and her siblings are all shocked, like you're walking, like, oh my gosh, you look good, like, oh, all of us were like, what is going on? Like, why is everyone acting all shocked? Until my mum's cousin called her into, you know, their rooms and was like, can we see if it's your real legs? And my mum was so confused, but she lifted, because she was wearing a long skirt, and she lifted her skirt up and she was like, yeah, look, they're my legs. So they both screamed. They were like, hey, so it's not true. And my mum was like, what's not true? And they said my mum's sister, my auntie, she started spreading around the family that my mum's leg was amputated. And this was in 2015. So remember what I've just said to you. She has told my mum's family, yeah, their family, that my mum is very sick My mum is not able to walk and they've resorted to amputating her legs, right? Cool. So we're all in shock, like, what is this woman's problem? Like, isn't she tired? Because me, I'm even tired. Like, isn't she, what does she want? Anyways, now, we didn't let that ruin our holiday. We carried on. So we've come back now and we have to, you know, get back to reality. My mum's going dialysis, everything, you know, is back to normal. So fast forward to 2019 now, my mum started feeling, you know, some pains in her left leg. And then those pains started turning into different symptoms, and then her left leg unfortunately got infected. So her left leg, when it was getting infected, it was turning really black. So from her feet all the way up to below the knee was just all black. And obviously the doctors was like, listen, it's either we amputate your leg or you will lose your life. And I remember the first thing that came to my head when I heard that amputation was 2015. Auntie said amputation. Oh my gosh, like so many things was just going through my head at that precise time. I was shaking. I was like, what? Anyways, so yeah, my mum had to get an amputation and they amputated her leg below the knee. So after the operation, things was meant to go well, but unfortunately there was still some infection left around the knee area where my mum's amputation happened. So now they've had to cut above the knee. So now they're doing a second procedure above the knee. And this is where the doctor pulled my dad aside and was like, sir, listen, this is a 50-50 chance because, you know, this is, you know, it's dangerous. Like we're amputating the same area again, twice, if that makes sense. So, you know, I remember my dad, me, my brother were in the corridor. My dad was worried, like the colour in his face was all drained. Like we was just all nervous. But at that time, all I just kept thinking of was 2015 amputation, Auntie, 2015 amputation, Auntie. That's all that kept coming to my head. So anyways, my mum's second procedure went really well, thank God, and she started her rehabilitation process, and that was so hard. Like imagine seeing your mum being able to now being disabled. Like it was just, it mentally messed me up around that time. Like it was so hard. And then you know, my mum having to relearn everything again, and you know, trying to process her new life, or you know, it was so difficult. Like my dad having to try and pick my mum up now and put her in her wheelchair or move her from her wheelchair to the bed. Like it was just so much on my dad, like so much. But my dad was such a trooper. He never gave up and he stuck with my mum. Like he done well. He done really well. But yeah, so fast forward once again, you know, they're getting on with their new normal life now, or should I say, we're all as a family trying to get on with our new normal life, helping out our mum, trying to sort things out. So it's the year 2020. You guys know what happened. It was COVID. The whole world went into lockdown and no one was allowed out. So I remember all I was doing was watching documentaries. I was literally hooked on documentaries, right? And there was one particular documentary that I watched, and it literally made me start thinking and reminiscing about, you know, family and me not talking to my cousins, meaning my auntie's children. So I decided to send a DM to my boy cousin. So I've sent him a long DM, you know, just telling him that I've watched this documentary, it's got me thinking, life's too short, etc, 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 right? You know, he responds and the conversation's flowing, and then he says that he will get back to me with a date where we can all have you know, a Zoom meeting to sort things out. So, you know, we left it on a positive note, so I thought, and I'm still waiting till this day for this Zoom meeting to happen. I understand why it was a Zoom meeting then, because it was COVID times, but now we don't need to be doing Zoom meetings. Like, I'm not living 6 hours away, like we're literally minutes apart, do you understand? But anyways, that's another story. So around that time too, I sent the same message I sent to my boy cousin to my girl cousin, and once again the conversation was flowing. You know, we was getting to know each other again. She told me that she gave birth, what her daughter's name was, and all of that. You know, it was really nice. I can't really remember how it ended, but I will insert the screenshots. But what I remember is I got left on red. I think I didn't even get a response back after a while. But yeah, anyways, now moving on, a year later, which is 2021. You know, one day, I'm fast forwarding to the year of 2021, January. It was a normal day. My dad was taking my mum to her normal checkup. She usually has monthly checkups at St. Helios Hospital, where they check her kidney function to check and see if everything's going okay. And so yeah, it was a normal day. I believe it was on a Thursday. So yeah, my dad didn't have work, so he decided to take my mum to her appointment. So whilst they were at the appointment, or just before the appointment finished, sorry, I tried to call my dad, but he didn't pick up. So I left it for like 5 minutes, and then I called my mum, and then my mum said to me, oh, we've just had my appointment, daddy's about to put me in a car and we're coming home, so when I get home I'll call you, and then you and the kids can come round. So I was like, all right, cool, that's fine, sounds like a plan. So now an hour's passed, an hour and a half's passed, and I'm like, I haven't heard from my mum, what's going on? And she usually is really good with her timekeeping. So I've called my mum now, and I'm like, mummy, I'm still waiting. And she was like, Chris, I'm still waiting in the car. And I'm like, okay, so where's daddy? She was like, he's put me in a car and he said he's going to use the toilet, and I'm still here. And I said, so haven't you called him? She was like, I've called him, he hasn't picked up. So I'm like, this is unlike daddy. So I'm like, all right, cool, let me try and sort this out. Got off the phone to her, trying to call my dad, he's not picking up. Calling him again, he's not picking up. So I'm like, this is unlike him, what's going on? Like, you know, mummy's vulnerable, why would you leave her in a car? It's winter, it's January, come on, you know, UK weather. So now I said to myself, let me call my brother, because at that time my brother was working like 5-10 minutes away from St. Helios Hospital. So I've called him now, explained everything to him, and he said, you know what, I'm gonna go and see what's going on. So he's got into the car park now. My mum's explained everything to him, and he said, all right, cool, let me go and find the security guard and let's try and locate where daddy is. So my brother, security guard, they've done all of that. They can't find my dad. Time's passing, is like 4 getting to 5 now, and you know, it's cold. So my dad had the key, so obviously my brother couldn't take the car, so we've had to leave my dad's car unlocked at St. Helios Hospital car park. My brother got a Uber for my mum to go home, and he followed behind in his car. So now they've got into my mum's house now, and I've literally met them there because I live a road away from my parents' house at that time. So I've gone to meet them now, and we're all confused. We're like, what happened? I'm even saying to my mum, mummy, like, are you telling me the truth? She's like, Chris, what have I got to lie about? So anyways, now time's passed. I think it was like an hour has passed. The doorbell has rang. I've opened the door and it's 2 police officers. So in my head, I'm like, what is going on? Allegedly, what has he done? Because at this point, I'm tired. I'm tired of seeing police. I'm tired of them accusing my dad of things. Like, I'm tired. Anyways, now police were like, hi, is this the residence of Francis Apong? I'm like, yes, it is. What's going on? Then they proceeded to say, can you tell the children to go upstairs, which was my 2 kids, my son and my daughter. So I was like, all right, cool. My brother took them upstairs, and then they dropped the worst news ever. They said, unfortunately, we found Francis Apong in the toilet, unalived, like, yeah. So my dad was laying there for 4 hours, like, whilst I was panicking, even getting angry at the fact that he's left my mum, he was there on the toilet floor in the hospital, unalived. Like, do you know? Anyways, so I let out the biggest scream ever. I've never experienced someone that I love die, so that was my first ever experience. So like, I went through a roller coaster of emotions, like, in the space of 5 minutes. I screamed. Yeah, I was all over the place. I was all over the place. Then I remember calling my cousin from my dad's side, and just saying to her, listen, this is what's happened. And she's crying. Like, it was very traumatizing. I remember my mum sitting there saying, no, it's not true. Nope, it's not true. Like, that's the noise she was doing. Like, if you're Ghanaian, you will understand that noise. Like, she was like, nope, She says she will never believe it until she sees that it's him. Obviously, she couldn't go to view my dad. I had to go and identify my dad, and that was so scary. Like, I was shaking. Like, it was so, seeing my dad in that state, and knowing my dad to be a strong man, like, but yeah, I identified his body, and I said, yeah, that's my dad. And they gave me his things, and I drove his car back home, and that car journey felt like 2-3 hours, and it was only like a 30-minute drive. But it was so, I felt so low. And honestly, in that moment, I wanted to drive to my auntie's house. I wanted to just take everything out on her. She was the reason. I don't care what anyone says. She was the reason why my dad is no more. After all the heartache, after all the suffering my dad went through because of her lies, because of my cousin's lies, both of them are the reason why my dad is no more. Because they mentally and emotionally unalived him, because his heart couldn't take it no more. So the week of my dad's passing, I was going through his things, like his paperwork and just stuff, you know, to start arranging things for the funeral. And then I came across like a massive pile of, you know, receipts, stories that, you know, that he's been telling me throughout, you know, my life. So I was reading it, and then, you know, emotions were starting to build up within me, because obviously everything that my mum and dad have been telling me, I'm now seeing it in front of me. And yeah, I was upset, I was angry. So I decided to send a message to my girl cousin, and I said to her, listen, I'm just so disappointed. in you and your siblings and how you guys are just managing this whole situation. All me and my brother want is just for us to meet up and just talk things through and just be grown about this, you know. This is not our beef, this is our parents' beef, and it's ridiculous that we've taken this on. So I've sent her this and she's responded straight away. I think saying something along the lines of she saw the message but it's not coming up on her phone. But she basically said that it's an issue that I need to sort out with him, meaning her brother, because obviously, like I said, brother didn't respond back with, you know, a meeting or Zoom date or whatever he wanted to arrange. So I took that to heart. So she said what she's had to say in the message, and I've just had to respond back saying, listen, this is ridiculous. I'm gonna insert it so you can read it for yourself, but that was my response, and I just got left on scene. She didn't even respond back. So yeah, so this all happened on the 13th of January of 2021, and the next day, which was the 14th of January, we had a 1 week, which is something that Ghanaians usually do when someone passes away. We will hold a 1 week, a week after the person has passed, with the family to arrange, you know, funeral dates and whatever. So that was happening at my parents' house. The 1 week, you know, family came over. We was discussing funeral arrangements and what to do, etc. And then the doorbell rang. I can't remember who opened the door because it definitely was not me. But someone opened the door, and lo and behold, guess who was standing there? My mum's sister. Yep, my auntie. Stay tuned for part 4, coming very, very soon.